It's a ukulele, but that's the only thing I play. I wish I played piano or drums or the didgeridoo, but I only play the ukulele, so that's what I'm gonna do. And this is a little theme song for the Happiness Anonymous Share Show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode of the Share Show. We are here on YouTube because today a lot of the shares include a lot of music. And YouTube is the only place where we can share that without anybody getting too mad, and also making sure that artists responsible for the music are paid properly. Yes, welcome to the Happiness Anonymous Share Show. My name is Jem. Today I'm checking in, really moved by a lot of the shares that are happening today. How are you today? I hope you're well, and I hope that you're going to enjoy this today's episode. I was about to say this week's episode, but we're doing it every day. I hope you're going to enjoy this episode because I very much did. It's very musical. It's going to be very fun, and we are going to kick off with a share from a good friend of mine, Sarah Owen, who I went to school with way back when. We were the best of friends when we were at school. There are some wonderful photos of us that will never see the light of day, but Sarah was always this very musical person, and she always had a ukulele and was always writing songs and was always a little bit emo and was always going to the coolest music concerts. So when she reached out to say, "Hi, I did this cover of a song, would you want to show it on the Share Show?" Then I was not very surprised by what she was covering. So here you go, a share on this idea of happiness in the form of a cover of Frank Turner's Eulogy from Sarah Owen.
Not everyone grows up to be an astronaut. Not everyone was born to be a king. Not anyone can be Freddie Mercury, but anyone can raise a glass and sing. Oh, well, I haven't always been a perfect person, and I haven't done what Mum and Daddy dreamed, but on the day I die I'll say at least I fucking tried. That's the only eulogy I need. Yeah, that's the only eulogy I need.
I loved the lipstick in that. It was so good to see Sarah's face when she sent that through to me. And what a statement. What a statement that is so true. Lots to think about. I'm not going to try and elaborate too much on it because I think one of the beauty about songs is that it can express something that is universal to all of us, but something that is also very deeply personal to the writer and can be very personal to ourselves and to us as individuals. And I'm very excited to have heard that song. I don't think I've heard that song before, actually. Not a big Frank Turner fan, but I really enjoyed Sarah's cover of that. So thank you, Sarah. Talking about how lyrics can be very personal, this next share is incredibly personal to me because I had a friend, Fionna Lynn, reach out to me with a share that I know she's a very musically gifted individual. We actually met in a queue. Yes, we stood in a queue in Bristol. It's not as British as it seems. We met in a queue in the open auditions for the Star Wars reboot movies. You know, way back when, before Disney got their claws into Star Wars and we were all really excited for it. Fiona and I and a group of us, we stood in line outside of the docks in Bristol and ended up having to stay the night. And I was cheeky enough and lucky enough to have my cousin living down the road. And so I ducked out for about 2-3 hours to go get some sleep in the warmth and the dryness, because I just remember we were so sodden. And in return, for everybody, including Fiona, keeping my place in the queue, I brought back lots of cups of hot coffee and tea and biscuits and croissants and warm things that made everybody feel very, very cheerful as we then stepped into this open audition for a huge blockbuster, looking like we'd survived a Star Wars movie in real life, because most of us had stayed most of the night on the street. That is a nice cue, actually, to remind everybody to donate to Mind Charity, because homelessness is also a big mental health issue and can cause a lot of mental health. Mind do a lot of work for mental health, and we are here to help celebrate them and raise money for them this week. We've only got 2 days before that one closes, and then we're on to the next one, which actually might do a homeless charity and something like shelter. So if you've got any ideas of a good charity, whether it's for homelessness or if you're just really passionate about another charitable organization, throw it in the comment section. I am here, I am commenting, I am present with you, despite the fact that we're here on YouTube. So let me know what you think, because I'm looking for another charity to spend a week raising money for, because that is happy, and that is what we're doing here at Happiness Anonymous. And if you don't want to spend money, that's fine. Share the word, and also go share. That's the one. Go share other and watch other shows at the PBH Free Fringe, because that is also why we're here, because the EdFringe is really fun. And the EdFringe really does inspire a lot of unique creative work, which takes us back, segue, to Fiona's share for this episode. Now, when Fiona sent me this video, it was a video that I could see she created because she features in it. And I was watching it and I was thinking, I don't recognize this tune. I don't recognize this tune at all. And she's so musically gifted. I thought maybe it was an obscure song, or maybe it was an arrangement. And I reached out saying, "Hey, dude, this is really good. Whose track is it?" And she said, "Mine." Fionna Lynn has written an original song for the Happiness Anonymous Share Show today about happiness, and it's called Happiness.
Everything I would dream about, going there, staying here, I would dream about everything. Then I learned it all was a fairy tale, everything I knew, suddenly it was impossible. Dreamers never sleep, dreamers never wake, dreamers never leave this place. So I pushed away my dream and carried on, with a life as grey as thunder in a storm. But the lightning struck my heart to light those colors in the dark. My dream was still alive, and she was singing to me.
I was so moved the first time that I saw that. I'm so moved right now seeing it again. In part because when I had this crazy idea for a share show, I didn't think that there would be responses at all, never mind responses that were that beautiful and effortful and talented and gorgeous and fantastic. And yes, thank you so much, Fiona. That was wonderful. You have done a lot for me in doing that, and hopefully, I think you've definitely showcased what you're capable of. You've definitely showcased what you can turn around in a very short period of time, and also just shown everybody here what you can do. You have a beautiful voice, and I'm so lucky to be able to have you in my cohort of people to say, "Hey, buddy, want to do something creative with me?" So thank you so much, and thank you so much for the sentiments expressed in that song. Yes, and also the video, really well done. My dad is forever looking at my videos, and anytime I do anything with music or mainly fades, he's always somebody who turns around and says, "Hey, your fade should be like 9 seconds longer than it is." My dad's a very big. He's a filmmaker. This is not just him armchair experting anything. My dad is a filmmaker. He works in the music industry. He knows what he's talking about, and he very much has his style. So when he speaks, I listen on this subject, not many others, but on this subject definitely. And he's always forever saying, "Your fades, don't just do a 2 second or a 3 second fade. Make it, work with these different images and how they can come together." And when I saw your video, Fiona, you did it. You did it. My dad would be really proud of you. Which segue, talking of my dad, my dad's a YouTuber now. He's also a writer, and my dad is unique. I'm just gonna put it out there. My dad is unique. Our relationship is unique. Yeah. Any of our friends who are watching this, feel free to list your opinion of things in the comments and let me know, I guess. But my dad is, and I know he's going to be watching this, and despite that, I'm still going to say it. My dad is a fantastic writer and a fantastic person with words and a fantastic filmmaker. And he's now a YouTuber. And his YouTube channel brings him a lot of joy. And he doesn't need to say that for me to know it. I could see it happen. It's also one of those examples that I think are an amazing example of something I've been ranting about a lot this week, which is just do it. If you've got an idea, if you want to do something that you really want to do, just do it. Just go for it. And that's what my dad did. He had a shower thought of, hey, he loves reaction videos on YouTube and he adores the lyrics. Literally every second sentence that comes out of that man's mouth is a song lyric, which is fantastic and really well cultured, but sometimes very obscure. And he went, well, why don't I marry the two of them and inform it and embed it in this idea that I am a writer? So my dad has a reaction video YouTube channel where he reacts to, from an informed position, the lyrics of songs. And I helped name it. It's called Lyrics in a Bottle, or Lyric in a Bottle. I think Lyrics in a Bottle. I'm very, very good with names. But yeah, Lyrics in a Bottle, and very, very much so. I will link it in the description of this episode. Go check it out. He does some amazing analysis, which sounds really boring, of lyrics, but also reactions. And also I featured in a couple of the videos. Spice Girls, Bad Out of Hell. Well, it wasn't Bad Out of Hell, but it was Meatloaf. And it's those videos alone will tell you what everybody in the comment section who are friends and family are saying about my dad and my relationship. It's very open. It's very unique. It's fun. Mainly, I think, for the two of us. But my dad, when he heard that I was doing this share show, I very sheepishly, as you kind of do when you're turning around to somebody who has been a mentor most of your life, and is someone who traditionally within those traditional roles you find yourself in life isn't somebody that you would say, yeah, I'm going to go to my dad and ask him to contribute to my EdFringe show. But I decided to, and I mentioned it to him, and I said, and he immediately turned around and said, I know exactly which song, I know it's exactly which track. It is, of course, from Marillion, which I grew up with because my dad has worked with Marillion and did when I was younger before I could comprehend what that actually meant. And so Marillion and H's voice is embedded into my very DNA. And this is my dad's reaction video to Accidental Man. I will warn you though, it is long, so get yourself a cuppa. It's one of the longer shares that we've got, but I think it's very layered in its given value to this idea of sharing around this idea of happiness. And if anything, my dad, I got my verbosity from him, and it's fantastic. And I really, really enjoyed watching it the first time round, and I'm so excited to watch it now. So here you go. Here is Paul Ralston, aka Dodgy Cam, from Lyrics in a Bottle, with his reaction video that is a share on happiness.
So here we are again, back by popular and festive demand. As part of my daughter Gemma's ruthless and relentless pursuit of happiness, we were talking the last time she visited about the nature of happiness and about how one might consider happiness and talk about happiness and aspire to happiness. And as so often is the case with me, a lyric bubbled to the surface. And the lyric was, happiness is not something I ever learnt to do. And it's probably not entirely true of me. I tend to laugh quite a lot, and I suspect that I have the luxury of having lived mostly a somewhat happy life. However, in the spirit of this endeavour that she has launched upon, here is my contribution to her discussions and consideration of happiness. It's a Marillion song called An Accidental Man. And we're going to talk about the lyrics and about what it is to be happy and what it is to be possibly a man.
I was taught from much too young to never give myself away. Yes, I was taught for every secret there's a price you have to pay. An accident of gender, an accident of birth that holds me to this point of view, this time and place on earth, this time and place on earth.
So, Steve Hogarth, interesting guy. We made a music video many years ago for a song, and the theme of the music video was touring with the band. And we opened with possibly the definitive shot of Steve Hogarth, which was him dressed, I think, all in black, getting onto the all-black tour bus, towing behind him his pink Samsonite case. And in the bottom of the bus at the time touring with us was his pink Fender Stratocaster, pink Paisley Fender Stratocaster. Here he is looking at this accident that is gender. This accident that is not just gender, but sexuality. And this accident that is to be born in this place and time, which is all to say how much of how we view the world, how we see the world, how we approach and attack the world is defined for us by these accidents of gender and accidents of birth and accidents of time. If I were born a man 500 years ago, I wouldn't see the world as I see it today. I wouldn't hold the views I hold today. If I were born a woman 5 minutes ago, I wouldn't hold the views I hold today. I wouldn't see the world the way I see it. And yet we all of us define ourselves by these things that we think we have helped to define. We define ourselves by these accidents. We let these accidents lock us into being who we are. And Mr. Hogarth, bless him, with his pink Samsonite, challenges that.
Holds me to this point of view, this time and place on earth, this time and place on earth. You ask me how I'm feeling, but I only wish you knew how hard it is for me to share those kinds of things with you. It's not that I don't love you, it's just I can't connect. 'Cause I was taught from much too young to shine and not reflect.
So here we go. You ask me how I'm feeling. I only wish I knew how hard it is for me to share. I only wish you knew how hard it is for me to share these kind of things with you. It's not that I don't love you. It's just I can't connect because I was taught from much too young to shine and not reflect. Now, come on. Isn't that an incredible, condensed expression of what it is to be specifically an English man of a certain age from a certain time? The man who was... I was talking yesterday, I think, to my wife about how the passion that I have for my job, the passion that I have for this and other bands, the passion that I have for the things about which I am passionate, from poker to lyrics to films and television to the thing I do on a daily basis, is frowned upon. It's frowned upon in England because you're not allowed to be too passionate about anything. If you're too passionate about anything, you're a weirdo. And we know what we do with weirdos. We kill what we don't understand, said a lyric from Neil Peart. The only thing we're allowed to be passionate about is football. In fact, if you're not passionate about football, which I am not, you're also a weirdo. It's the only place we're given permission to express passion and real raw emotion. So right here, he defines what it is to be an Englishman. And this last line, this perfectly poised line, I was taught from much too young to shine and not reflect. It's a play on words. Shine and not reflect. We think immediately about a mirror, but reflect in the context of to shine and not think too deeply. To not examine yourself too deeply. To not stir up the bed of the river, to use another Steve Hogarth lyric. This is what it is to be a man in this male culture. And yet we're an accidental man, a matter of a single chromosome, if my very limited biology education remembers correctly. I'm an accidental man, and yet so much of how I live, so much of how I interact with other people, so much of how I view the world is defined by that accident.
'Cause I was taught from much too young to shine and not reflect. I'm an accidental man. I'm an accidental man. I'm an accidental man. You ask me if I'm happy. I only wish I knew. 'Cause happiness is not something that I ever learned to do. It's not that I'm complaining, it's all the same to me. If everything that happens, happens accidentally, I'm an accidental man.
So there you go. That's why I got to this song in a discussion of happiness and jumped so quickly to a discussion of gender and a discussion of masculinity, toxic and otherwise. But I think also in the key to this is the counterpoint to it. Just because the accident of my birth says that I'm not supposed to be effusive and passionate and express my feelings and weep at the sad parts of movies and weep at the happy parts of movies and weep at the end of sitcoms, doesn't mean I can't. Just because I'm supposed to act in a certain way as defined by the accident of my birth, the accident of my birth in this time and place and gender and culture and continent, doesn't mean I'm not allowed to see the world with the kind of empathy that allows me to understand what it is to not be a man and to not be white and to not be European and to not be wealthy or poor. The one thing I remember trying to teach my kids in the 3 or 4 minutes a week that I saw them, because I am nothing if not a man of my generation and a hardworking filmmaker, the one thing I remember trying to teach them was that the most important emotion you can have, or at least the most important word you can know and try to live up to, was not love, wasn't kindness, it wasn't generosity, because all of those are folded into this word. It was empathy. It was that requirement or that request that they try and have empathy for other people, to see through other people's eyes, to live other people's accidents. And I'm proud to announce that both of my children shame me all the time in the massive empathy they show and the number of times they slap me down when I'm forgetting to live up to the thing that I told them they must. That makes me very, very happy.
I was taught forever secret, there's a price you have to pay. I was taught from much too young to never give myself away. I was born to work the causes, I was born to take the reins. I was taught from much too young to never give myself away.
It's such a sin to stomp all over Mark Kelly's widdly widdly keyboard solo. But we're back at toxic masculinity. We're back at privilege. We're back at assumption of authority. All of those things that come as a result of the accident of your birth if you were born to be me and Boris Johnson and Elon Musk, the lunatic. Remind me to tell you the short story about Elon Musk and the poor bastard he sent in a car to Mars. With the understanding that happiness almost certainly comes from breaking your coding. It almost certainly comes from stepping outside the expectation that every accident that made you who you are placed upon your shoulders. To learning how not to keep secrets and to tell the truth. To learning that you can give yourself away and not be diminished by it. That you can surrender authority to other people. Break the code. Break the programming. Talk to people on the tube. Be nice to strangers. Say thank you to the poor bastard serving you in the supermarket. Try not to be the thing that your accidental birth says you must be, and be the best version of yourself and the best possible version of other people. I think that would make the world a happier place, and surely in a happier world, you'd be happier in it, right? Mark Kelly, widdly, widdly, widdly.
I was taught from much too young to never give myself away.
I become aware of the fact that here I am, wigging out to the most, to the whitest possible male music, prog rock, Hammond organ solos. I could not be more living the accident of my birth right now. And you know what? I ain't ashamed, because I did it happily. It bears repeating, this last lyric. An accident of gender, an accident of birth that holds me to this point of view, this time and place on earth. Try to understand, if I don't say all I can, a stranger to myself I am. I guess apart from empathy, the other thing I've always believed is self-awareness ultimately leads to contentment, or at the very least, the more self-aware you can become, the more self-correcting you can be. So you don't need your kids to remind you not to be an arsehole. And when you are, try and make up for it. There's happiness in that too. This was Marillion, Accidental Man, and some random ponderings on the nature of what it is to be accidental and a man. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching if you did. Maybe I'll see you again. Until then, keep the faith.
Hello, everyone. You still with us? Good. I really enjoyed that. Which is actually quite rare, I think, for somebody to turn around and genuinely say they enjoyed something that someone so close to them created, and be quite honest about it and not be saying it because they are biased in any way. One thing about my relationship with my dad is when it comes to the things that we create, we are in no way just supportive for supportive sake. It's always a case of we want the best out of all of our creations. And I was a YouTuber first. So, but I really, really enjoyed that. Thank you, Dad. Also, really, really uncomfortable moment when you turn around and say, yeah, there's this one thing that I instilled in my kids. There's this one thing, this one word above any word. Because I was genuinely sitting here thinking, if you pause the video right now and just ask me what that word was, I'm not 100% sure I could get this pop quiz question right. I knew it wasn't happiness because that's far too vague. But yes, I think that very, very much, that idea of empathy very, very much reigns true, and is a source of great pride and great joy for me, as well as, you know, of course, I'm multifaceted, so it's definitely something that brings a little bit of a, oh, why am I so empathetic? So I blame you, Dad. Thanks. Dad issues, I guess. But thank you for that share, and that idea that empathy reigns. And I very much am the embodiment of it. And I will continue to point out when you are being an asshole, because that's my pleasure. And my public service. Talking about pleasure, as well as talking about this idea that my dad essentially lived this channel and came to this channel and this source of joy for him. Going back, it's making me very nervous because I know what's coming next, and it's a little bit out of my comfort zone. So my dad started this channel because he identified that he wanted to do something, and he did it. And he turned around to me and went, cool, I want to do this. How do I do it? Because I was the person in his life that knew how to do that. And I helped give him the tools. He has one of my tripods. He actually is one of the inspirations why I ended up doing this with the equipment that I'm doing. So it's a roundabout circle kind of way. But my dad, essentially, I remember when he turned around and went, oh, I just had this idea in a shower once and it sounded cool, so I'm going to do it. It's a point of inspiration. But Dad, don't let that go to your head. Cool? Okay. Yes, and so with somebody who has been ranting for the last week about this idea that you should get up and do it and that you should gish it, and if that word doesn't mean anything to you, go back to Monday's episode of the theatre of not the Theatre Pitch podcast. Go back to Monday's episode of the Happiness Anonymous podcast, and you'll hear what I mean. Way too many podcasts. Everybody has a podcast. I'm delaying now because I'm very nervous. So, okay, I'm just going to come out and say it. One of the fantasy goals that I've always had, one of these dreams and hopes and fantasies that I've always had, is I've always wanted to write music. I've always wanted to write a song and sing a song. I've always wanted, to be part of Fleetwood Mac. And to create something that is as moving and as powerful as music is. Because I'm a writer, so I have technically the ability to be a songwriter. I'm a dancer, so I have technically the ability to be quite musical, but I am not. I as you know by the countdown, I play the ukulele badly. Right now it's not even in tune. And that's about it. I can play the piano kinda with this hand and sort of with this hand, but never together. And I don't really have much of those skills. And that's always been the thing that I've said, you can't sing, you can't play an instrument, you can't really rhyme unless it's with duck, because the main rhyming of that's your favorite word. So I've always kind of just put it off. And this week I kind of realized, oh yeah, what's the thing that's stopping me from doing it? What does I can't sing, I can't play an instrument, what does that actually mean and constitute? Because that doesn't mean that I can't make music, not with technology. Right now I'm doing an Edinburgh Fringe show from my bedroom in London, but still feeling the vibes of Edinburgh because of the power of technology. And therefore I went the other night onto Google and I searched for, can't remember what it was, the words, but I was kind of like, there must be a software out there that allows us to just typey with and get some loops and do essentially delegate the creation of the music and the playing of the instruments to other people. Because I've looked at this idea of how do you write a song and how do you write a top melody. I understand all of these different bits. I just don't have the skills, and I don't have the want enough to be a musician to dedicate time, or at least as much time as needed, to actually learning how to play an instrument. So I was just like, oh, let's see. Not GarageBand, because I don't want to, but is there a software or a website or something that just means I can tinker? And I did, and I wrote a song, and I sang in that song, and I played in that song, and I had a lot of fun with that song, and ended up not really sleeping that night because I got so carried away and so into creating this. There's this idea of flow when you're in the creative flow, where nothing can really pull you out of it. You are beyond distraction and you are just so enjoying yourself, and it gave me so much happiness to do that. So as somebody who lives by not trying to be a hypocrite, and therefore is somebody who's going to start and continue doing the things and removing the obstacles I put in my own way to the things that I want, that I think will make me happy, and in the idea of following my fun, and this idea of sharing something that gave me a lot of joy this week, I'd like to close this episode of the Happiness Anonymous Share Show with a share of my own, with a song that I created the other night. My first song that isn't, a little theme tune or a little jokey song or something that is deliberately shit because I'm scared of being good. And I'm not saying this is good, but it's something.
One, two, three, four. I know what they say and I feel what they say in my bones. say, what they say, what they say. What should I say?
And that concludes the Happiness Anonymous Share Show for this Friday. For this and for YouTube and for being here. Next show, I'm gonna say next Saturday is in this Saturday is in tomorrow. We're back on our usual channels on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. All of the links will be reinstated in my efforts and hope to redirect people to this episode. And hopefully you enjoyed this very, very musical episode. There is going to be music in the future, and I'm very, very excited to share all of that. I keep saying I'm very excited, and hopefully you get that message. Otherwise, I'm a stuck tape recorder for no reason. But thank you so much for watching and for taking part. If you want to share your share with me and with the world as part of the Happiest Anonymous Share Show, go here. There's a link in the description as well to a form so that you can send it through and just send me a link and give me a little bit more detail of what you're doing so that I can tell the world a little bit more about you. But if that's too much or whatever and it doesn't work, there you go. Go to happinessanonymousshare@gmail.com, send an email there with the attachment, and I will feature you on the Happiness Anonymous Share Show. And if you don't want to share but you do want to contribute, head on over to my shirt is covering it. There you go. There's also a link in the description because this week we are raising funds for Mind, the charity. You can donate to Mind through the link below. It's a Just Giving link. You can donate until this Sunday evening, at which time it will change to a different charity. And we're kind of running a competition to see which charity we can raise the most money for over the week. They will all be related to happiness or mental health or any of the themes of this kind of show. And also, if you are bored waiting for the next show of mine, go over here to the PBH Free Fringe. It's virtual. It's also in person. So if you're in Edinburgh, go to a show if you're comfortable. But if you're not comfortable doing that, go to a show, but make it a virtual show. There are some amazing shows that are on, and they're all free for us performers and participants, as well as for you guys. So go check them out. It's a great organization. And then when you are next in Edinburgh and we're not dealing with a pandemic, come see shows with us in real life. But thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I will see you tomorrow.